Welcome, everyone. Welcome. How are you? If you can hear me, if you can see me well, give me a wave in the chat. Let me know that you're here. So I'm excited. First of all, I want to say welcome. I'm excited to spend this time with you, this Sunday hangout. I know you like those lives that we're doing a lot, so that's why I'm doing another one. And today's live is about the fears of quitting smoking, the 3 fears of quitting smoking. So when I was a smoker, I was terrified of quitting smoking, like terrified. I was afraid that I was going to fail. And tell me if you can relate to this. I was afraid I was going to fail. I was afraid of the cravings, the discomfort, the weight gain, the stress, like being tempted, not being able to be around other smokers without feeling miserable. Can you relate to that? Do you have those fears as well? But in reality, there are 3 real and big fears about quitting smoking. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, sure do. Great. So what is your biggest fear when it comes to quitting smoking or quitting vaping or quitting any form of nicotine? What is your biggest fear? Maybe you have a lot of fears, and that's okay. That's normal if you do. But if you were to ask yourself, what worries me the most about quitting smoking? What would your answer be? And the reason I'm asking you this question, you're welcome to share it in the chat, but I'm asking you this question for you. You need to know the answer for yourself, because that way you're going to have a focal point during this call and you're going to be able to make the most out of it. So with that, to serve you and help you make the most out of our time together, I want to invite you to be engaged. What does this mean? If I ask you a question, type your answer in the chat. If I ask you to repeat something, repeat it. If I share something you want to remember, type that nugget in the chat. Now, why do that? Why be engaged? Because science says that we remember more and that we transform with active listening as opposed to just passively listening. So we want to do what? Active listening here. That way you're going to remember more. And of course, I want this to be a conversation. Of course, I want us to have fun together, but you're doing this for you. Fair? Great. So your fear is losing my friends, still having issues breathing after I quit. That's a big one, losing my friends. Because we're worried that if we quit smoking and we feel deprived, then we're going to have to avoid our friends. And this is going to make us feel lonely and unhappy, right? Or we're worried that we're going to lose that shared commonality we have with our friends because we are used to hang out and have a cigarette, or we're used to taking a break and having a cigarette. So it's a way to connect. And without it, we're worried that how am I going to be able to connect, right? So we're going to address all that. Cody says, I fear living with another smoker will eventually lead me back into smoking. So why bother starting? Yes, totally understandable. Thus, this constant trigger and this constant temptation. But I'm going to say this before we dive into the 3 fears of quitting smoking, the 3 real deep fears of quitting smoking. That the reason we are worried that we're going to be tempted by other smokers, whether we live with them or it's our friends, is because of the programming we have inside. What do I mean by that? Think about it like this. A never smoker, someone who has never smoked a cigarette, a happy ex-smoker, and a smoker, they all socialize. They all experience stress. They all drive. They all, let's say, have a drink. But it is only the smoker who wants and needs a cigarette in those situations. Why? Because it's not the trigger. It's not the other smoker. It's not the stress. It's not the driving. It's not the break that makes us want to smoke. It is the programming we have inside. That smoker's program, that smoker's mindset that distorts our reality and makes us think and feel and identify and therefore act as a smoker. So what the mistake I see all the time, and I've made that mistake so many times, is we're trying to control our triggers. We're trying to avoid our triggers. We're trying to avoid our environment. But none of those things matter. What matters is removing the programming we have inside. Because when we do that, what happens? We no longer want to smoke. And it doesn't matter what happens in our life. It doesn't matter who is around. We don't want to smoke. One of our members, and Sarah from the UK, and she celebrated 4 years smoke free last week. So I have it fresh in my mind. So Sarah was always worried about quitting smoking because her husband is a smoker. And she was worried that if she quits, she would be tempted where cigarettes are lying all around. This would ruin their connection because all their conversations, good and bad, happened over cigarettes. And she was worried about that. But she made the decision and she said, I'm going to do this for me, despite what my husband does. I'm going to do this for me. So she took full ownership of what she already knew she wanted to do. So after doing our program, Sarah quit smoking, and she recently shared that she's still smoke-free, her husband still smokes, and she's not even triggered. And I'm sharing that story to illustrate how it's like when you don't want to smoke anymore, that it doesn't matter what happens around you. It doesn't matter if you think about smoking. It doesn't matter if you listen to a video about smoking. It doesn't matter if you see someone smoking. You just don't do that anymore because the mental addiction, the mental wiring, the mental program is gone, done. So I want you to know that you can do it, even if your husband smokes. You can do it, even if all your friends smoke. Make sense? Lauren says, welcome, Lauren. I'm on quit day 45 and find I'm sleeping way more than I used to. Connected. First of all, congratulations on quitting smoking 46 days ago. That's amazing. So here's the thing with quitting smoking. Sometimes symptoms are related to quitting smoking. But other times, because of the availability bias, we tend to blame, quote unquote, everything, all the changes that happen in our lives to the most prominent change we have in our mind, which is quitting smoking. So when we quit smoking or right after quitting smoking, everything that happens in our lives, we tend to connect it to that. So I like that you're asking, is it connected? This is a great, great question. If it is connected, then it's probably because your body is just getting the rest that it needs. Because after quitting smoking, we're going through withdrawal, which is another word for detox, which is another word for healing. Our body is healing after quitting smoking. So if you find that you need more sleep, that your body needs more sleep, then this is probably your body needing that extra energy to heal. So if it's just sleep, I wouldn't worry about that. The other thing I would ask you is, has anything else changed in your life lately? Maybe if it's really hot, sometimes we need more sleep. So other factors can matter as well. So if nothing else has changed in your life in the last 46 days, or even a little bit before that, then it could be because of quitting smoking and you're just getting the rest you need. Revisit that about a week, 2 weeks from now, I would say, and see if it's still there. Probably it won't be if it is related to quitting smoking. Hope that's helpful. Thank you, Cody, for the heart. Kaylee says makes sense. Amazing. So, as promised, the 3 fears of quitting smoking. So quitting smoking comes with a lot of fear. We all know that, right? And the problem is that fear makes us feel paralyzed and stops us from taking action and doing what we know is right for us, what we already know we want to do. But here's what I want you to think about for a moment. Imagine a child, and the child tries to walk for the first time, and he falls down and scratches his knee, and then what does he do? He doesn't say, oh, I'm afraid to walk again. It didn't work out for me, right? The child just gets back up and tries walking again. It doesn't say, "Oh, well, this walking thing is just not for me. I'm gonna do it later. I cannot do it." No. Why? Because we're all born without fears. We're all born without those limits. Those limits are fears about quitting smoking, and this applies to everything, of course. They're installed in our mind by society, by the people around us, and of course, by our own experiences through life. So, as we're going through this, I want you to open your mind and open your heart to the idea that you still have that fearless child inside of you. Now, let's get to the specifics. Amy says, I have a little bit of fear of putting them down forever. Great. So this is going to make sense to you, and you're in the right place. Kaylee says, yes, I have the fear that I won't quit. This past year, I've quit numerous times for about a week, and then I pick it back up. The longest I went was 9 days without smoking. Great. First of all, 9 days without smoking, instead of saying that as proof that you cannot quit, say it as proof that you can quit. Because that's the truth. If you can do it 9 days, you simply go back, adjust, so you can go for longer and forever. So there is no failure, only feedback. I learned that many years ago and it changed my life forever. There is no failure, only feedback. And that's what it is, feedback. Yes, 9 days is impressive. So we adjust to go on forever. So the first fear of quitting smoking is the fear of failure. Who has the fear of failure? The fear that you will go through pain to quit smoking, you will make sacrifices, it's going to be horrible, you're going to invest your time, your energy, your money, and then you will go back to smoking and everything you went through would have been for nothing. Who can relate to that? That cycle, that mental loop. So that is the fear of failure, that I'm going to do all that and it's not going to be worth it because my husband smokes, because I'm going to be triggered, because last time I failed, so why should things be any different now? And here's the weird psychological way, the psychological trap of how the fear of failure works. Because we have the fear that we're going to fail, to protect ourselves, we don't give it our best shot. We don't do our all. We do a half-hearted quit attempt. We don't do the full preparation. We don't do the full work. Now, why do we do that? Because that's how we protect our ego. So that if we fail, we can tell ourselves, yes, but I didn't do everything in my power. So it's not my fault. It's not a personal flaw. So are you getting this? To protect ourselves, we don't give it our best shot to protect ourselves from the fear of failure. And then, of course, by not giving it our best shot, what happens? Failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and we fail. And then we get the feedback that, yes, I was right to be afraid of failure because I failed, but we never actually did it right. And we know, each and every one of us knows when we give it our all. We know it. And we know when we just hope, like do something and hope or pray that it somehow sticks. So that's the weird way that the fear of failure works. Because we believe that if we give it our all and we fail, then the hope, the dream of success will crash forever, and then there would be no hope left. So by not giving it our best, we're keeping the hope of success alive. And we're trying to protect that hope by not really trying. It's a weird psychological way, but this is how the fear of failure works. But the beautiful thing is that And you already know this to be true. It is only by giving it our all that we can succeed. Because when we have our mind set that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for me, because I want it, or because at least a part of me wants it, because it can, usually we cannot want it fully because we have two parts inside of us. When we're addicted to anything, we have two it's as if we're of two minds. There is a part of us that wants to smoke, and there is a part of us that wants to be free. So we have the real self and the addicted self, let's say. And those parts of us, they just battle each other constantly. That's why we have inner conflict. Have you ever had that inner conflict and it feels like you're going crazy and you don't have control over your own mind? That's because the real you and the addicted you are battling each other. So that conflict is a knowing that it's a good thing. It means that you are at the beginning of change. Because without that conflict, we don't even feel interested in quitting smoking. So, giving it our best. Or how okay, so the question is, because I'm seeing some of the comments, how do we not give it our best? What are the things we do? Because we need to identify that, right? How do we not give it our best? One, we watch some videos hoping that somehow we're going to change. We use willpower. We scare or guilt ourselves into quitting smoking on Monday or when the pack is finished. And what happens next? Eventually, we will smoke again. But when we smoke again, when we relapse, when we quote unquote fail, this is not a sign that we are a failure. This is simply a sign that something was missing from our effort. And when we get that distance and don't take it personally, and I understand that this is not always easy, when we don't take our setbacks personally and we see them as lessons, we see them as feedback, then we can move forward. I was watching a video the other day and I heard this. The speaker said that in life, you have to embrace the wrong turns. So if you had a setback, instead of seeing it as proof that I can never succeed, see it as a wrong turn and that the journey continues. You don't have to start from the beginning. You just have to continue. It was a wrong turn. And the other thing is failure is feedback. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. The other mistake we make is we have a setback and then we try to push it emotionally under the rug and say, I don't want to look at it because what does this mean for me that I failed? But that's also wrong because we have to get the lesson from the setback so we can succeed later on. Very, very important. We have to look at it. What went wrong? What could I have done differently? Let me read the comments. Yes, and I'm saying, yes, that you're saying you didn't give it your all. So I'm glad this resonates, and I hope this sheds light as to what you need to do differently. Because success is there. Yes, I felt like I was taking too long, pushed myself to quit, and it didn't last. Yes, and we get in our own way, right? I'm not doing it right. I am taking too long. And then the craving mind takes over with more of those obsessive thoughts. They're like, you can never do it. No, other people can succeed, but not you. Isn't that what we tell ourselves? I'm the exception. It's just, I cannot. All these people, all these success stories that I'm seeing, they can do it, but I cannot do it. I am the exception. And there's always a reason why we're the exception, right? Amy says, Amy Beth, failure is feedback. I like that. Yes, and it's true. That's exactly what happened. See, it's not a personal flaw. This is part of the process. And I think the biggest growth of going through the process of quitting smoking is learning to befriend our own mind. Because when we're addicted, it feels almost like we have an enemy within. Right? I know I need to quit smoking for my health, but I am self-destructive because there is a part of me that tells me that you need to smoke, or there is a part of me that makes me lie to myself over and over again. So a big part of the quit smoking process, especially with the CBQ program, is befriending your own mind. And the beautiful thing is that this is a gift that doesn't go away. It stays with you for life. Daniela says, I am my worst enemy. And you are not alone. You're in good company. But also, when you switch that around, imagine the powerful friend you can have inside. It's life-changing. Lauren says, I was so afraid of failing to quit on my quit date that I quit the day before. I like that. Taking back control in a way. And that's very, very powerful. That's powerful. Especially when you know yourself and you know that this is how you work better. This is very powerful. So, fear number one. Before I move forward, let me know what is one takeaway you're getting from this bit about the fear of failure, or if you have questions about it. So I'm going to give you a moment to ask me that and share with me your takeaway. The reason I'm asking you this is so that you will embed the learning. Because we want not just information, but start creating a transformation for yourself. Amy Beth says that I'm not alone. Great. Never quit trying. Yes. I love it. And so I'm going to get to the panic attack. So I'm reading a comment. I was doing good for months, but this past 2 days I relapsed. I had a panic attack. I want to ask clarification. Have you always had panic attacks? Did you have a panic attack and that's why you relapsed, or you had a panic attack after you relapsed? So the second one, and this gets to you, so the first is the fear of failure. The second fear is the fear of discomfort. The fear of discomfort. And that is an umbrella that covers a lot of things. I'm afraid of the cravings. I'm afraid I'm going to be stressed. I'm afraid I'm going to be deprived. That I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to meet my friends and I'm just not going to have a good time. So the fear of discomfort. Always had panic attacks. So I get anxiety and ended up smoking. I have to find another way to relax. Yes. And smoking, should I talk about that now? Let's talk about that. Who feels like stress and anxiety is a big obstacle to you quitting smoking? Let me know so I can elaborate a little bit more on that. Okay, Amy Beth says, fear of discomfort is the one of the biggest problems for me. Kaylee says, me about the anxiety. So, great. Okay, let's talk about that. Most of us, if not all of us, use smoking to soothe stress and cope with stress, right? And the problem is that we're worried that without our cigarettes, we're going to be so stressed, we're not going to be ourselves, our anxiety will skyrocket. And of course, when we start believing something for long enough and well enough, of course, it becomes our reality. But here's the truth about how nicotine works. Nicotine does not relax us. It's not a substance that makes us feel relaxed. On the contrary, it makes us more alert, if anything. It creates anxiety, raises our heart rate, raises our blood pressure. So it puts us a bit in a survival mode. So the question is, why do we feel relaxed after a cigarette? And why does smoking become the one thing, the number one thing we use and we reach for when we're stressed? That's the question. So this is something I discussed day 8 of the CBQ Quit Smoking program, and I'm going to share it with you. So the reason we feel relaxed after a cigarette, picture this. So when we are stressed, from anxious to a panic attack level, how do we breathe when we're stressed? Is our breathing shallow or deep? Play along with me. When we're stressed, is our breathing shallow or deep? Shallow. We breathe like this. Is our breathing slow or fast when we're stressed? It's fast. So when we're stressed, we're breathing like this. When we're relaxed, how do we breathe? Slow or fast when we're relaxed? Slow. When we're relaxed, is our breathing shallow or deep? Yes, deep. So here's where I'm going with this. Imagine you're stressed. Something happened, you want to procrastinate on a task, you got some bad news. It's the usual thing that stresses you every day. No matter what the reason is, you're stressed. And in that moment, you're in that state of breathing like this. So you take a cigarette, you put it in your mouth, you light it up. And in order for you to inhale the smoke, what needs to happen? Your breathing changes from shallow and fast to deep and what? Deep and slow. Otherwise, you cannot smoke that cigarette. The same with the vaping. You cannot hit the vape. You have to change your breathing from the anxious breathing to the relaxed breathing. Otherwise, you cannot smoke. You cannot vape. So what happens is that you smoke a cigarette thinking the cigarette relaxed you. But in reality, it was the deep and slow breathing that relaxed you, not the cigarette. Are you getting this? That's why when we're stressed, it is the first puff of a cigarette, the first 2 puffs that makes us feel relaxed. And after a while, it's like, why am I even smoking this? I'm just have to finish it because I lit it. Because it's not the cigarette. It is the deep and slow breathing. And the beautiful thing is that we can relax just as well and even better by breathing air, not smoke. That's why smoking relaxes us. This is the one reason why. Not one of the reasons, the reason why. And nobody talks about this. But of course, you can immediately know this is true from your experiences. So my invitation to you is that next time you're stressed, even a little bit, doesn't have to be extreme. Start exploring your experiences with a low barrier of stress. Try to relax, try to breathe as if you were smoking a cigarette, but you're not smoking. Just breathe as if you were smoking a cigarette, and you're going to notice that you're feeling so relaxed. So that's the reason why. Now, pair that with the fact that as smokers, we never learned new ways to cope with stress because no matter what happened, the first thing we reached for is our familiar friend, our cigarette. So we lack skills, we lack tools, and we have the illusion that it is the cigarette that relaxes us, even though it's our breathing. Does that make sense? Is this helpful? Very helpful. Great. Yes. Yes, Kenneth. That's the breathing exercise, the 567, the 567 that I share in the program. That's it. But here's the thing, any breathing exercise works. So I don't want anyone to be getting stuck that, oh, I need to do the perfect breathing exercise for me to relax. That's why I'm teaching you the principle, which is to breathe and relax as if you were smoking a cigarette. These days, even our watches, if they're like an Apple Watch or an electronic watch, they have an app that you can just breathe for a minute. So breathing is breathing. Don't get stuck on the details. Kenneth says, I have been doing that and it really helps. Thanks. You're very welcome. It is my favorite breathing technique, the 567. So back to our second fear. Who can remind me what it was? Fear of the discomfort. Discomfort. So stress is part of discomfort. Cravings are part of discomfort. And we have the fear that, oh, I'm going to quit smoking and then I'm just going to feel bad all the time. So how do we overcome that fear? With preparation. All emotions are signals. They show us something. As a psychologist, I know and I always teach that there is no such thing as good and bad emotions or positive or negative emotions. Emotions are signals. They have a message for us. For example, overwhelm is a signal that we need to slow down and prioritize. Anger is a signal that one of our expectations was violated, like an ought was violated. We say this person ought to have done this, or these people should have done this, and they didn't, and that makes me feel angry. So when we have an expectation and reality gives us a different check, and there is a mismatch there, we experience anger. So when we have anger, we should ask, what is the expectation that was violated? Whether it's valid or not, this is for you to figure out after, but this is the message of anger. And fear is a signal that we need to prepare for what we're afraid of. Now, whether it comes to feeling fear because we're actually in danger, which means we have to prepare and run and survive, or if it's psychological fear, the message remains the same. We have to prepare for what we're afraid of. That's why in the CBQ Quit Smoking program, we prepare for 10 days and then we quit smoking. So preparation. So make a list. What worries me about quitting smoking? What discomforts will I experience? Or am I worried I will experience? Is it stress? Is it cravings? Is it boredom? Not that smoking does anything to take away our boredom. It doesn't, but it's an association, a behavioral association we have created. So what are the discomforts that you're worried about? And prepare for those before your quit date. The mistake people make is they quit smoking and then they hope to not experience cravings. They hope to not experience discomfort. And when they do, they try to figure it out while craving, while feeling deprived. That's why preparation is everything. So we won't have those problems later on after the quit date. I hate myself when I smoke cigarettes, and you're not alone. And that means that a part of you really, 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 really wants to be free. Really wants to be free. So start listening to this part of you. Start following that part of you, because that part of you wants freedom, and it is inside of you, and it is active. It is the part of you that brought you here, that makes you stay and listen and open your mind and your heart to something new. Very, very important. So just nurture that. By the way, if you are new to the CBQ world, because I know some of you are not new, some of you are new. If you're new to the CBQ world and you're interested in our program, I'm running a free masterclass where I explain exactly how our program works and show you if it can work for you too and if it's right for you. And I've also added some super special new pieces to the program that make it even better. So if you're interested in learning more about how we can help you, how our program works, and how quitting smoking really happens without willpower and deprivation and nicotine substitutes, register for this masterclass. It's free, the masterclass, and it's an introductory lesson for you to learn more about how we can help you if you need help. Okay, so second fear, fear of discomfort. So make a list. Who's going to make a list? Great. So make a list and remember this. The discomfort exists anyway. The discomfort exists anyway. Right now, you have discomfort by hating yourself, by having that inner conflict, by running out of breath and immediately thinking, what am I doing to myself? Is something happening to me? That health anxiety, the discomfort exists. You're already going through cravings, worrying about when you can have the next cigarette, worrying about if you have enough cigarettes. So the discomfort now you have the discomfort. By going through the right preparation, you can have freedom. So it's just the fear that keeps us stuck, not the discomfort, because the discomfort is happening also right now. We experience it as smokers every single day. So if you want to learn a new way, go to cbqwebinar.com. I'm seeing my team share the link now. Great. To register for the next available session. I'd love to see you there. And if you have questions about the masterclass, you can always put them in the chat. So, 3 fears. First fear was the fear that starts from F. Fear of failure. Fear of failure. The second fear is the fear of discomfort. Before I go to the third fear, let me know in the chat, what is one thing you're taking away from the fear of discomfort that's going to serve you? Something you're taking away, something that you know will help you. And if you have any questions about that, of course. And then I'm gonna go to secret. I said to fear number 3. I said secret because our masterclass is on the 3 quit smoking secrets that big tobacco doesn't want you to know. So I had it in my mind. It's really good. So what are you taking away from the fear of discomfort? And then I'm gonna go to fear number 3. I'll make a list. Great. Remember to breathe. Yes. How fundamental, how important, and how powerful as well, right? That I have a lot of discomfort right now with a huge conflict. Yes, that's a very, very important lesson. 100%. AP says willpower. Willpower. Okay, I have a question. Skill power, Kaylee. Oh, I love this. And what I call is, as you see here, mind power. So who here feels like you need willpower to quit smoking, and at the same time, you just don't have enough willpower to quit smoking? You're always falling short of the willpower you think you're supposed to have. Who just feels like that? Not enough willpower, but I need more willpower. And if you're new to the CBQ world, then you may come with this baggage and this limiting belief that we need willpower to quit smoking. So that's why I'm asking. So willpower doesn't work for quitting smoking. Doesn't work. Because smoking is an emotional behavior, not a logical one. So we can never use willpower to go against our emotions and our desires. Willpower presupposes that we want to smoke, we want to vape, we want to use nicotine, we have the desire there, and we go against that desire. And sure, we can go against that desire 1 day, 2 days, a week, but we cannot go through life always resisting our cravings with willpower. We cannot go through life living with the fear that I'm going to have a craving and will I have enough willpower to resist it. This is not being a happy non-smoker. This is being a deprived ex-smoker, and this is doomed to return to smoking. Willpower doesn't work because willpower doesn't last. Willpower is a finite source. So even if you're someone and you have lots of willpower, even if you train yourself to have more willpower, eventually willpower will let you down. It will let you down when you need it the most. And not only it will let you down, willpower also feels bad because it's a state of resistance. We want to smoke and we go against our desire. And here's the thing, what you resist persists and only grows in size. What you resist persists. So it's not about willpower. Even if you have willpower as a person, you don't use willpower to quit smoking because it will only make you feel more deprived. It will only make smoking and vaping seem precious, which increases our mental addiction, increases our attachment to it. So no willpower. Yes, willpower is exhausting. Knowledge and a different mindset works. Yes, which is mind power. Whether you call it skill power, I loved it, or a different mindset is mind power. Here's how to think about it. I know I did a deviation from our fears. Yes, willpower in hypnosis wore down because even hypnosis, you do the hypnosis. And by the way, I am a certified hypnotherapy practitioner. So I know hypnosis and I love hypnosis. So and I know it doesn't work for quitting smoking. Otherwise, I would be doing this. I would be talking about this. Hypnosis doesn't work for quitting smoking because we cannot change years of conditioning of something we're doing 5, 20, 40 times a day through suggestion. We do the hypnotic session or the track, and then we have to use our willpower. When push comes to shove, we use our willpower. Yes, what you resist persists. So think about it like this. Willpower is like you want to smoke. And when you use willpower, it's like having a beach ball and you're trying to hold that beach ball underwater. You're on the beach, you have the beach ball, you're trying to hold the beach ball underwater. And you're trying so hard. You're pushing it down, you're putting all your strength. But what happens? Sooner or later, the ball will just pop back in your face because you're just suppressing it. The issue remains. Mind power is different. Mind power is like taking a pin and deflating the ball and throwing it in the trash. So it's not an issue anymore. There's nothing to resist, nothing to push down, nothing to suppress, nothing to avoid. Make sense? So changing your mindset, changing your smoker's programming, learning skills to dissolve urges. This is mind power. And that's what the Speaky program is all about. So no willpower, mind power. So let's go to fear number 3. What do you think is fear number 3? Let's do a pop quiz. Let me know what you think. What is fear number 3? And there are 3 big fears in total. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, and what is the third one, you think? And then I'm going to tell you something to help you take action beyond fear. So what do you think is fear number 3? Fear of change, Amy Beth says. That's a good answer. Any other ideas? And don't worry, just say whatever comes to your mind. Fear of change is a good one. Deprivation. I would say deprivation, that's a great answer. And I would put deprivation under the fear of discomfort, because feeling deprived, it's that fear of feeling bad, having that discomfort. Fear of identity change. Good. Compensating. Okay. Great answers. Losing friends who smoke. All great answers. So our third fear is the fear of success. And really, the fear of success is a masquerade for fear of change. So, what is the fear of success exactly? The fear of success is the fear that I'm going to actually be successful and then my life will be different and I'm not going to like that different. Make sense? So, I'm going to lose I'm going to be successful, but I'm going to lose my friends. I'm going to be successful, but I'm going to be unhappy. I'm going to be successful, but I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to be successful, but something bad will come as a result of this. Does that make sense? Can you relate to that? That fear of success. Yes, I can succeed. And then I don't like what comes next, or I think I won't like it. Great. So that's the fear of success. And I'm going to do it, and then my life will be different. I'm going to succeed, and I won't be able to breathe. I remember a comment I read earlier in the chat. I'm going to quit smoking, and my life will, and my health will not improve. I'm going to quit smoking, and it's pointless because the damage to my lungs is done. I'm going to quit smoking, and then I'm going to be lonely, or nobody will understand me. So here's the thing with the fear of success. If you have that, first of all, you're absolutely not alone. It's part of the human condition. It's part of making any change that is meaningful to us. And that fear of success comes from our craving mind, because our craving mind has one job and one job only. And it's this: to keep us addicted. That's it. That's its job. So our craving mind is going to do everything in its power to keep us in our addiction. And the best thing it can do to serve its devious goals is to tell a story about how pointless it is to quit smoking and how things will not get any better. And that's very convincing, right? Because, okay, then what's the point? I'm not going to quit smoking, or I'm going to quit smoking later. And we've all said, I'm going to quit smoking later. And we all know what this means. It means, we think it means next week, but it means next year. And the next decade passes, and the next decade passes, and later becomes never. So the fear of success comes from our craving mind. And here's why it's important to understand the fear of success. Because what happens is that right now, you're seeing your future with the smoker's mindset through the eyes of a smoker, because that's what you are now. So you're seeing the future with the eyes of a smoker. You're seeing your future while having the smoker's program, the addiction program in your mind. It's like wearing sunglasses with black lenses. Everything becomes black. So you're seeing your future through the lens of your addiction. That's why the future looks bleak. Because it is the smoker in you that looks at that future. You're not looking at that future objectively. But the thing is that by going through the quit smoking process, you are reprogramming step by step. You are releasing that smoker's program, that smoker's mindset, so you can start thinking like yourself without the lens of addiction. So by the time you reach the end of the quit smoking process, you're not anymore seeing the future with the same eyes. You're able to see things objectively, because it is by going through this process that you developed skills, you developed your confidence, you found ways to have fun. So you're able to see the future objectively. The truth is, smoking, when we socialize, smoking is a superficial bond. It's empty inside. If we connect with someone just because we smoke, then are we really friends? Are we really connected? Do we really have a meaningful connection if all we relate over is just some movements and exhaling? No, we already know this to be true, but our addiction is not allowing us to see it that way. So it is by going through the process that all the masks fall down and we're able to see our lives objectively. There is nothing that doesn't get better after quitting smoking. But the key is to remove the mental addiction, to remove the smoker's mindset. That's the key. I cannot emphasize this enough, because if I still run the smoker's program in my mind and I tell myself I'm going to quit smoking on Monday, all I'm going to experience is deprivation, pain, and proof that it doesn't feel good to be smoke-free. So I'm going to go back to what's familiar, but hurtful, but familiar. So we have to reprogram our mind. There is no other way around it. Amy Beth says, later I say that to myself. By the way, is this making sense about how the fear of success works and what's the antidote to that? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to read some comments in the meantime. Amy Beth says, later I say that to myself all the time. Yes. Later is the most dangerous word we use. And after doing this for over a decade and having helped hundreds of thousands of people succeed, I can tell you that later is the most dangerous word we use. Because we postpone, we say later, then we try to overcompensate by rushing through things, because we also have the fear of failure that we talked about earlier on, and we don't give it our best shot to protect our ego and keep the hope of success alive, and we're staying stuck in that cycle. Cody says, I quit, victory is mine. I love this. This is a great affirmation, great mantra. Cody says, I'm capable of change. 100%. 100%. Nicolau says, dear Amy, you really can, and it would be easy. Yes. Yes, Amy Beth. We think it's going to be hard, but how many people find it easy? And why? Accessible to you as well. There is no reason why. It is. It is. I train coaches on helping people quit smoking. And one of the things that I teach, the first thing I teach, because all the new coaches, maybe they've never smoked in their lives, they try to empathize with people when they say quitting smoking is hard. And the counselor, the quit smoking counselor, says, yes, it is hard, but you can do it. But this is a big mistake, because it's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. When something can be easy for some people, our only question is, how can I make it easy for myself? Because the easiness, it is the reality, and that reality is accessible for me as well. So yes, let it be easy. You have the tools, right? You're part of the program, right? This is the best program out there. This is it. You have it. So just give yourself the opportunity to experience it. And I have no doubt you will be successful and have that freedom. And for everyone who is not part of the program or maybe interested in learning about the program, I'm running a free masterclass where I share the 3 quit smoking secrets that Big Tobacco doesn't want you to know. And also my story of how I went from loving cigarettes to never having another craving, and have helped hundreds of thousands of smokers do the same. So I'm going to share with you that. And also I'm going to open an invitation for the Civic You Quit Smoking program, a limited time, super duper amazing invitation for those who are interested in joining and quitting smoking with our help and my help. So if you're interested, go to civicuwebinar.com. My team will share the link in the chat, and you can just open it in your browser, civicuwebinar.com, and register for the next masterclass. I look forward to seeing you there. Lauren says, absolutely best program out there. Yes. Thank you, Lauren. And it's true. And I'm so glad you had that experience. Amy Beth says the program is amazing. Great. So you got it. You got it. This is it. Cody says quitting smoking is a soul journey to discovery of self-love. Ooh, I love this. I absolutely love this. And I agree with you 100%. And at least that's the difference with how I approach quitting smoking. Because a lot of people think quitting smoking, I just want to get done with it and not think about it again. I just have to change my behavior. I just have to resist it for long enough. I just have to use willpower. I just have to use nicotine replacement, hoping one day I'm just going to wake up and feel differently. But that's a mistake because change starts from the inside. And that's why I keep saying we have to reprogram our mind. We have to remove the smoker's mindset because change starts from the inside. Our behavior, me picking up a cigarette, lighting it up, this is not the problem. This is the symptom. The problem is how I think about smoking, how I feel about it, my programming. So when I try to constantly remove the symptom, it's going to reappear because the problem, the programming is still there. So that's why to have deep and permanent and easy change in an easy smoke-free life, we have to change the program. And to change the program, what do we need to do? Go through the process. But this is it. This is it. And it is a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful journey into oneself. Yes. Yes. I have all the tools. I just need to use them. That's true. And Amy Beth, since you joined the program, because that's fairly recent, we've done new things. We've put all our program in the CBQ app. So you can do the program from the app. You can listen to the meditations from the app. Let me show you. Where's my phone? So send us an email or go to the members group on Facebook, and I have a pinned post on how to download the app. It's free for our members. Let me show you. So you have the homepage where you can see how long you've been smoke-free, what you've saved, and you can do all the programs and tools from the app. So easy. It's really nice. And you can even do your log from the app. So it's even easier and even more enjoyable to go through this process now. Yes, it is awesome. We've been working on this app for years, and we're just so excited to share it with our members and in a bit of time with the world as well. So yes, you can access everything from the app. It's really, really good. Thank you so much for going live today. I really need to hear this. I'm glad. So we talked about the 3 fears. I want to give you a bit to leave you with something empowering and something actionable. The thing about fear is that inaction decreases fear. Action, I said it the other way around. Inaction increases fear. Action decreases it. So the longer we stay with our fear, the longer we do nothing, the longer we stay with our worries and our mind, the more we feel the fear because it festers in our mind. And our craving mind is taking advantage of this. But the more we take action, even a tiny bit of action, it is a vote against our fear. So action decreases fear. Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be a big step, but even a small step. So take one step today. If you're part of the program, go and download the app. Go and watch one video. If you're not part of the program and you're curious about how we can help you quit smoking, you want to learn what are the 3 quit smoking secrets, how to reprogram your mind, what is the CBQ quit smoking program that you see the Ask an X interviews and people talking about. If you want to learn more about it, go to cbqwebinar.com and register for our free introductory masterclass. You're going to love it. I look forward to seeing you there. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. It was great interacting with you, great answering your questions. I hope you had fun. I hope you benefited, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Bye bye.